give us an overview of the Indian healthcare sector and what are the recent developments in this sector so far?
Indian health sector badly needed public investment from the government. And our health parameters, if you ask in terms of Indian infant mortality rate, maternal mortality rate, total fertility replacement, we were in bad shape. From 47 onwards, the longevity was very poor. The literacy was an issue. Access to healthcare was an issue. So all these were having massive problems in the country. And realizing this in 2005, National Rural Health Mission was launched by Government of India. And it was decided that we should focus primarily on the primary health care, because that is where 70% of India's population lives, in about 600,000 villages, 6 lakh villages, and who do not have access to health care. So 2005 onwards, substantial investments were done in primary health care. And we are seeing the results now. The infant mortality rate, maternal mortality rate, TFRI, replacement ratios, the polio, for example, polio eradication, immunization, disease surveillance, all these have changed a lot. And now there is a total revamp of the whole system. I am basically looking after the human resources and the medical education in the country. There are currently about 387 medical colleges in the country, medical colleges, which include government as well as private. Private is larger than the government. We produce about 50,000 doctors in the country. The ratio of doctor to population is about 1:1800. And WHO says that it should be 1:1000 in order to ensure good quality of health care. To reach that figure will require another 50 years. The reason is that the current number of doctors we are producing, 50,000, is not enough. We need 100,000 of them, double of this number. To set up a medical college is very difficult compared to an engineering college or any other college, because you have to set up a hospital, you have to have patients, you have to have doctors. And it is substantial investment in terms of time as well as money. So creating a doctor is not an easy job. It takes 7 to 10 years. And secondly, even if you create one, you are not sure whether they will work in the rural areas. Because the entire focus of medical education is towards urban-centric. It's towards hospital-based.
When we talk about doctors working in rural areas, some of the institutes initially started that doctor who qualified a particular degree or a master's in doctorate, he has to serve 2 or 5 years of his initial career in the rural areas. But there has not been much kind of implementation from the government side. Those doctors go into the rural areas and come back in 3-4 months. So what kind of quality residential system which the healthcare should have in the rural area, so that doctors also feel good to spend some time with the rural people and provide best of their efforts to get them out of the diseases and the kind of healthcare issues which comes in the rural areas?
See, a lot of incentives are tried to send them into rural areas. Health is basically a state subject. So it's not central government which can force them. State have to do it. They have to identify rural areas. They have to identify inaccessible areas. They have to send these students into the rural areas and create facilities for this. But it has not worked. States have tried all kind of things. For example, they have said that we'll give you extra pay. We'll give you a hard area allowance. Some of them, in fact, recommendations from the Government of India also said that we'll give you extra marks for working every year in a rural area for PG admission, because for every doctor, MBBS doctor, to get a PG seat, a postgraduate seat, is the most important thing. So 30% extra marks were declared for 3 years service, and none of these have worked, for the simple reason that the demand and supply gap is so huge. And the moment an MBBS doctor passes out, his dream is to get a specialist, become a specialist. He wants to qualify for PG, he starts studying for it. And he can't possibly do it in rural areas. So even if you send them forcibly, he is not going to work there. Even if he sits there, he is going to study only. He is not. Secondly, as an MBBS doctor, we have to also realize that many of them are not actually confident enough to handle patients, because the entire learning which they do is during internship and during PG training. So to push them into this area by incentives or by schemes of the government has not worked. The only way it is going to work, which the Medical Council of India has recognized, is to send them on compulsory role posting. That means you qualify for a PG seat only if you have done 1 year at least minimum in a primary health center. And they have notified it, but there is a tremendous resistance from doctors for obvious reasons, because this means 1 more year in rural areas and people don't want to do it.
Sir, when we talk about medical as a career, cost still is a big issue when for the lower middle class society. I mean, a lot of people from the lower middle class wants their children to be a doctor, but then the fee structure is so huge, I mean, that they are not able to bear it. So can we have, do we have some kind of subsidy scheme, or so that the people from the rural areas can also aspire to be a doctor?
See, one thing we must realize, that everybody cannot become a doctor. To become a doctor requires certain traits. It requires certain skills. It requires certain intellectual level. And that is why 30 to 40 years ago also, the best students used to go into medicine. Second best used to go into engineering. So if you try to create mass production of doctors, that's not going to work. Mass production of doctors will bring down the costs, maybe medical education. But you don't have teachers for that. You don't have institutions for that. As far as cost of medical education is concerned, the government colleges are highly subsidized. The amount we are spending on every student in government medical colleges is roughly 1.5 to 2 crores. And do you think he is giving this much fees in government colleges? No. Fees is hardly any, few thousand rupees maybe. Some of them are absolutely nothing. So the cost which a lower middle class or lower class family person finds expensive is in private colleges. Private colleges charge more because the highest merit people have already gone into government medical college because subsidized medical education. The second level, who could not get admission in government colleges, they run towards private. Private everybody cannot afford, so private obviously is running for money. He has established institution for money, so he demands money, which people are willing to pay. If the demand and supply is there and people are willing to pay, then what you are going to do is to create doctors who are not meritorious. And this is becoming a huge problem for us. I think country has to stop looking at doctor-centric approach now. Because I have realized one thing, that 50,000 doctors created over the last 50 years is not the solution to the problem, because another 50 years we cannot wait for 50,000 doctors to be produced. So what we have to look at is, we have to look at middle level health service providers who, for example, there are 850,000, 8.5 lakh ASHA workers who are working at grassroots level. That means every village has a ASHA, because 6 lakh villages, 6.5 lakh villages. So number of ASHAs is more than number of villages in the country, and they are doing a fantastic job, I must say that. And on the other side is the doctors. So there is a huge gap between this. So what you need to do is, you should have community health service providers which are currently being managed in the sub-centers by ANMs, who is only 10th class and now recently made 10 plus 2 pass. They are not trained. They are not allowed to dispense with medicine. They cannot prescribe medicine, but they are doing it in any case. And what you need to do is, you pick up boys and girls from a district, train them for 3.5 years, including 6 months internship in the district hospital, teach them something more than what an ANM knows about it, more focus on the clinical sides. He is not a doctor, but he knows more about it, about common ailments, a diarrhea, a dysentery, or common fever, or cough, cold, influenza, these kind of basic things which basically doesn't require a doctor. And if he's told about those symptoms and he's trained into this, he can go back and work in the same rural areas and kind of supervise ANM. They are not doctors, but they can provide basic ambulatory health care. And if he doesn't understand, and if he finds the case a little complicated, he can always refer it to primary health center. I think this huge cadre of public health workers whom we read at the sub-centers and primary health centers is missing in India. The only state which has done is a little bit about this Tamil Nadu state. And these experiments were done in two states, Chhattisgarh and Jorhat. Chhattisgarh, it didn't work because eventually they started demanding that they would like to be called doctors. You see, a doctor who studies 4.5 years plus 1 year internship plus PG, it takes 7 to 8 years for him to come out fully trained. You cannot create a doctor with 3.5 years. So they cannot be called doctors. So Chhattisgarh didn't work. It was a state law which they did, it didn't work. They tried it in Assam, in Jorhat. And they posted them only in sub-centers where doctors are not there. And it worked. It was successful. So that is one model which we are looking forward to. Medical Council of India has already approved that curriculum. National Board of Examination has already accepted to do it. And we are going to push it. Even though doctors say, no, they are not doctors. They should not be, this should not be promoted and all. But I think that is one solution we are looking at, where middle level health service providers can actually work as the first point of contact between patients and the doctors.
Sir, international, we'll talk about some of the developed countries. They have moved far ahead in terms of healthcare sector, and we are still having the cases of polio and some other diseases which are curable. So where are we lacking? What exactly is the need of the hour?
We are a huge country, 1.2 billion people. We are only independent 65 years ago. Do you think countries like US, which is 450 years old, now did not have those problems when they were 100 years old? When did they give their franchisee to women to vote or right to property? 100 years ago. 350 years they didn't have all those things. So it is wrong to assume that you have a shortcut to success and everything can be done in 60 years. What we have achieved is not by any means should be underestimated. We unfortunately have become a country of cynical people, where we start criticizing our own people. It's a huge country, huge problems, multi-religious, multi-diverse cultures, different climate, different environments, and democracy still functions. You don't have dictatorship here. So there is and one solution will not work in all the areas. So it's a huge country where we have to focus on two things. One is the literacy part. If people are educated, they will not have too many people, too many children. They will realize that two are enough. If they are educated, they will seek health and they will not compromise with health behavior. If you have access to health care, then they will also be careful about that. So if you have skills and education provided to huge young population, we are one of the youngest countries in the world, then they can provide human resources to the rest of the world. And whether they become an asset or a liability will depend on the education you give them, or skills you give them. If they are uneducated, they are a liability to you. If you give them skills, and if you give them education, they become an asset. They will take care of you all over the world. So totally depends on our policy. Health and education should be two key areas which I personally feel this government has started doing for the last 10 years.
And how was your overall E-India experience so far?
It was nice. We did one session and we found a lot of questions coming up. I think the organizers, whomsoever I met, also were surprised. They never expected this session. We had fairly experienced people who had come and talked, and we could cover a lot of diverse ground. Thank you very much for inviting.
Thank you so much, sir. It's a pleasure meeting you, sir. Thank you.